All right, so you sent over a bunch of stuff on live sound engineering,
Yeah.
and it's something that's so important to making a live event really work.
Right.
But, it's something we don't always think about unless something goes wrong.
Totally. You really only notice it when it's bad
Exactly.
or like when it's like mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But most of the time it's just sort of there and you're just enjoying the show.
It's like invisible when it's done well.
Yeah, exactly. Invisible.
So the stuff you sent me was really interesting. It goes into a lot of depth about what it actually takes to create the sound at all these different types of events.
Yeah, I tried to pick out some articles and resources that give a pretty comprehensive look at it, you know.
You did a good job. It's a
Yeah.
good mix of stuff.
Thanks.
So for this deep dive, I think our mission is to really try to understand all the different elements that go into live sound engineering and the different roles that make it all happen.
Yeah, let's break it all down.
Cool. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is live sound engineering? I mean, when we talk about that, what are we really talking about?
Well, at its core, it's all about capturing, mixing, and delivering audio in real time at a live event.
Okay, so it's not just about music.
No, not at all. I mean, music is a huge part of it, of course, concerts, festivals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's also crucial for corporate events, presentations,
I mean,
conferences,
Oh, yeah.
theater productions, any kind of live event where sound is a key part of the experience.
So how is that different from what a recording engineer would do in a studio?
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
In the studio, you're working with pre-recorded tracks. You can take your time. You can get things perfect.
You could do multiple takes.
Exactly. You have that luxury. In live sound, everything is happening right there in the moment.
Right.
You have to make decisions on the fly. You have to be able to adapt to the specific acoustics of the venue, the energy of the performers, the unexpected things that always happen.
Sounds stressful.
It can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
So it's not just about making things louder.
No. It's about so much more.
So what are some of the core tasks that a live sound engineer has to handle?
Well, first off, there's the whole setup process, which can be pretty complex depending on the scale of the event.
Lots of equipment to wrangle?
Oh, yeah. Tons of microphones, speakers, mixing consoles, all sorts of specialized gear.
And then once everything's set up, you have to make sure it all works.
Absolutely. Troubleshooting is a constant part of the job.
Yeah.
Cables can come loose, connections can fail, equipment can malfunction. You always have to be ready to solve problems quickly and efficiently.
So you need to be good under pressure.
For sure. And then, of course, the most important thing is managing the quality of the sound throughout the event.
What does that involve?
Making sure the levels are balanced, the mix is clear, the EQ is right, that the sound is evenly distributed throughout the venue, that there's no feedback or distortion. You're constantly making adjustments to optimize the sound for the audience.
So it's a lot more than just turning knobs.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real art form. It requires a deep understanding of audio principles, a keen ear, and the ability to make critical decisions in real time.
So one of the things that really struck me from the stuff you sent was the idea that live sound is very much a team effort.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely not a one-person show.
Can you walk us through some of the key roles that make up a live sound team?
Absolutely. So first up, you have the front of house engineer, or FOH for short.
That's the person we usually picture, sitting at the big mixing board out in the audience.
Right. They're responsible for the overall mix that the audience hears. They're controlling the levels of all the different instruments and vocals, adjusting the EQ, adding effects to create that balanced, polished sound that you experience at a concert or a show.
So they're like the conductor of the audio orchestra.
That's a great analogy. Now, on the other side of things, you have the monitor engineer.
And what's their role?
They focus on what the performers hear on stage. They're controlling the mix that goes to the stage monitors, those wedge-shaped speakers you see pointing up at the musicians, or to in-ear monitor systems.
So each musician can hear themselves and the other instruments clearly.
Exactly. The monitor engineer creates a custom mix for each performer so they can hear what they need to perform their best.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got FOH for the audience and monitors for the performers. What other key roles are there?
Well, then you have the system engineer who's responsible for designing and setting up the entire sound system for the event.
So they decide where all the speakers go and how everything is connected.
Right. They have to consider the acoustics of the venue, the size of the audience, the type of performance, and then figure out the best way to configure the system to deliver optimal sound quality throughout the space.
It sounds like a pretty technical role.
Oh, it definitely is. They're dealing with things like speaker placement, signal flow, amplification, delays, all sorts of complex stuff.
I bet they're good at problem solving.
Oh, yeah, they have to be. One of the articles you sent mentioned A situation where a system engineer at an outdoor festival had to completely reconfigure the speaker setup because of unexpected wind conditions.
Wow, that's thinking on your feet.
Definitely a crucial role that often goes unnoticed, but is absolutely essential for a successful event.
Now, I also noticed that one of the articles mentioned RF technicians. What do they do?
The RF technician is all about wireless audio. They manage all the wireless microphones, wireless in-ear monitor systems, any wireless audio equipment that's being used.
So they're the ones making sure that the lead singer's mic doesn't cut out in the middle of a song.
Exactly. They have to ensure that there are stable, interference-free wireless connections throughout the performance, which can be tricky because the radio frequency spectrum is pretty crowded these days.
So they need to be experts in both audio and radio frequencies.
Absolutely. It's a highly specialized skill set.
What about the folks who are actually on stage setting up the mics and stuff?
Those are the stage technicians. They're the hands-on crew that make sure all the audio equipment on stage is set up correctly and functioning properly.
So they're placing mics, running cables, troubleshooting any problems that come up.
Yep. They're the backbone of the stage audio operation. They work closely with the monitor engineer and the performers to make sure everything is working as it should.
Now, one role that I wasn't as familiar with is the sound designer. What do they do?
The sound designer is more common in theatrical productions and live shows that have a strong narrative element.
So it's not just about amplifying the actors' voices.
No, it's about creating the entire sonic landscape of the production. They design soundscapes, sound effects, ambient sounds that help to tell the story and create the atmosphere.
That sounds really creative.
It is. It's like composing music, but with everyday sounds and effects.
And then lastly, we have AV technicians. What do they typically handle?
AV technicians are usually involved in corporate events, conferences, presentations, that kind of thing. Their role is broader, encompassing both audio and visual elements.
So they're setting up mics and speakers, but also projectors, video screens, making sure everything is synced up.
Exactly. They're responsible for the overall technical setup and operation of the AV system for the event.
Wow, so there are a lot of different specialists involved in making live sound work.
Definitely. It's a complex ecosystem of roles and expertise all working together to create a seamless audio experience for the audience.
So what are some of the essential skills that someone needs to succeed in any of these live sound roles?
Well, first and foremost, you need a solid foundation of technical knowledge.
Meaning?
You need to understand how audio equipment works, the principle of signal flow acoustics, how sound behaves in different environments. You need to be able to read a schematic, troubleshoot technical problems, have that core technical competency.
Makes sense. You can't really fix something if you don't understand how it works.
Exactly. Then you need strong problem-solving skills, because in live sound, things inevitably go wrong. You need to be able to think on your feet, diagnose problems quickly, and come up with solutions under pressure.
So you need to be cool under pressure.
Absolutely. And then communication is key. You're constantly interacting with other people, artists, stage managers, other engineers. You need to be able to explain technical concepts, clearly communicate effectively, and work collaboratively as part of a team.
So it's not just about being a tech wizard. You need good people skills too.
For sure. And then adaptability is crucial. Every venue is different. Every event has its own unique challenges. You need to be able to adjust your approach, your techniques to suit the specific circumstances.
Then finally,
attention to detail. Live sound is all about the subtle nuances. Fine-tuning the mix, making small adjustments that can have a big impact on the overall sound quality. You need to have a keen ear and be able to pick up on those subtle details.
so it's a pretty demanding field, but it sounds incredibly rewarding too.
Oh, absolutely. It's challenging, but it's also a lot of fun. You get to work with amazing technology, creative people, and you're playing a key role in creating memorable experiences for the audience.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive into the world of live sound engineering.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field with a lot of depth.
We often take for granted how important sound is to our experience at a live event.
Right, we just expect it to be there and sound good.
Exactly. But as we've learned, there's a whole team of skilled professionals working behind the scenes to make that happen.
A lot of expertise and hard work goes into it.
So to wrap things up, I think the key takeaway is that live sound engineering is a really multifaceted and highly collaborative field.
Definitely.
It requires a blend of technical expertise, problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
adaptability, and a passion for creating great sound.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Whether your interest is in concerts, theater, corporate events, or any other type of live performance.
The fundamental principles and the key roles we've talked about are all essential.
Absolutely. And as technology continues to evolve and live events become even more complex,
It'll be interesting to see how the field of live sound engineering adapts and innovates.
Right. How will those roles change? How will new technologies be incorporated? What new challenges will arise?
It's definitely something to think about the next time you're at a show and the sound is blowing you away.
And appreciate all those folks working hard behind the scenes to make it happen.
Exactly, to those unsung heroes of live sound.
Cheers to them.
Cheers.